So Krishna says, Matta parataram nanya kinchidasti dhananjaya mai sarvamidam protam sutre mani ganaiva. So Krishna is present everywhere because everything is resting on him, on his energy. Just like in a big factory, the proprietor may be out of the factory, but every worker is aware that this factory belongs to such and such person. As this is possible, to have always a consciousness of the proprietor of the factory by the workers, similarly, it is possible for everyone to become Krishna conscious in every activity. That is the philosophy we are trying to preach all over the world. The Bhagavad Gita philosophy is like that. Yuddhasya bhav anusmara. You have to, this world is so made that one has to work. Without working, nobody even can maintain his body and soul together. That we cannot avoid. But at the same time, we can remember Krishna. That depends only on practice and understanding, pure understanding. So here Krishna says that there is nobody greater than me. That is the verdict of all ancient Vedic literature. In the Srimad Bhagavatam also the same thing is confirmed, that Krishna tu Bhagavan Swayam. There is a list of different incarnations of God. In that list, Lord Buddha's name is also there. Lord Buddha's name is described. Kikitesu bhavishyati. Buddha namna annana suta kikitesu bhavishyati. The Srimad Bhagavatam, the Lord Buddha's name is mentioned as future incarnation. Bhavishyati will appear. Kikitesu in the province of Gaya. So, this is called Shastra. Because Srimad Bhagavatam was composed 5,000 years ago, and Lord Buddha appeared 2,600 years ago. Therefore, 5,000 years ago, Lord Buddha's case was in the future. Therefore he said, Bhavishyati, he will appear. This is called Shastra, Trikalagna. Shastra writer. They are not ordinary men. Just like Krishna is speaking. He is not ordinary man. Nobody will be interested so much. The Bhagavad Gita was written by ordinary men. It was spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and it was recorded by his incarnation Vyasadeva. So, it is transcendental literature. Ordinary literature, they cannot be perfect because there are 4 defects. Brahm, Pramat, Karnakata, Vipravitta. Brahm means to commit mistake. Pramat means illusion. And Vipravitta means cheating. and karana part of inefficiency of the senses. So Shastra means above this defect. Where there is no such defect, that is Shastra. And you can understand how 5,000 years ago Lord Buddha's appearance was predicted. Similarly, still there is prediction about Kalki Avatar, which will take place about 4,27,000 years hereafter. Kalki Avatar's name, his father's name, and where he will appear, everything is there. This is called Shastra. So we have to understand Krishna from the Shastra. Krishna himself speaking that Matta Paratara Nanna Kintu Jasvidhanan. There is nobody else greater than me. And when Arjuna understood Bhagavad Gita, he also accepted Krishna like that. Parabrahma, Paramadhama, Pavitram, Paramam Bhava. You are Parabrahma. So Krishna is Parabrahma. Brahma, we are all Brahma. Because we are part and parcel of Parabrahma. But we are not Parabrahma. We are subordinate Brahma. Eko Bahunam Vidadhati Kama. We are supported by Krishna. We are supported by God. He is one. God is one. And the supported Brahma, the living entities, they are innumerable, beyond the numerical strength. Asankhaya. Nobody can count how many living entities are there. But God is one. So, from the ancient literature we understand that Krishna too Bhagavan Sam. There are many incarnations of Krishna, expansion of Krishna, Samsan, Vivinnan. Some of the expansions are direct personal expansion. Just like Lord Rama, Nishingadev, Varaha. There are many. Ramadimurti Sukala Niyamena Tistan. Krishna is existing, expanding himself in various forms, like Rama, Nrsimha, Varaha, and so many others. There are different kinds of incarnations. Avatar, Saptavesh Avatar, Gunavatar, Manvantar Avatar, Yuga Avatar, many incarnations. And in the Bhagavad it is concluded that the Lord's incarnations are so numerous that you cannot count. Just like if you sit down on the bank of a river, you cannot keep an account of the waves, how many waves are passing. Similarly, there is no account how many incarnations are coming out from Krishna. But Krishna is above all. Here Krishna personally says, and it is confirmed by all the sages, authorities, formally by great sages like Narada Muni, Vyasadeva, Asita, Devala, and in the modern age by all the acharyas, Shankaracharya, Madhyacharya, Ramanujacharya, Vishnu Swami, so many other acharyas, Lord Chaitanya, everyone accepts that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God. How can you deny? We have to be guided by the Acharya. Acharyaman Purusha Veda, one who follows the principles of Acharya, he knows the things as they are. That is why in the Bhagavad Gita also you find Acharya Upasanam You have to follow the footsteps of the Acharya, because they can give us right direction. And one who does not follow the Acharya and creates and manufactures his mental concoction, his version will not be accepted. There are many different commentaries on the Bhagavad Gita, but not all of them are according to the direction of the Acharya. You have to accept Bhagavad Gita as it is, under the direction of the Acharya. They do not make any change. They explain how Krishna is the greatest. Not that comment in a different way and deviate you that Krishna is ordinary man. So Krishna, from Krishna the next expansion is Baladeva, San Prakash. And from Baladeva there is Chaturbuha, Sankarsan, Aniyuddha, Pradyumna. So again there is from Sankarsan there is Narayan. From Narayan there is another expansion. The same, Sankarsan, Pradyumna, Aniyuddha. And from that Sankarsan there is Purusavatar, Mahavishnu. From Mahavishnu there is Garbhodakshay Vishnu. From Garbhodakshay Vishnu there is Kshirodakshay Vishnu. The Kshirodakshay Vishnu is situated in everyone's heart. Ishvara sarvabhutanam hrideshe arjunati. In this way, Krishna is expanding in so many ways, by personal expansion, by the expansion of his energy, by the expansion of his differentiated parts and parcels. Just as we are living entities, are Vivinnans. We are also expansions of Krishna. So, he is expanding himself in so many ways. Sansa, Vivinnansa, and Shakti, Tatastha Shakti, Chit Shakti, Antaranga Shakti, Bahiranga Shakti. So we have to understand Krishna in that. And if we study scrutinizingly all this literature, we shall come to the conclusion that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God. And if there is any name of God that is perfectly given in these two words, Krishna, all are right. There are many derivative meaning of Krishna given by the Acharyas, but on the whole, Krishna is the actual name of God. So, how you have to, for ordinary man, how one can understand Krishna that he is all pervading. He is all pervading, he is everywhere. Now, how to appreciate that he is all pervading? That direction is given by Krishna himself. If we follow the direction of Krishna, how to appreciate him, then naturally and surely we shall come to the point to understand Krishna, although he is all expansive. So Krishna says, Rasoham Apsukonteya, Prabhasmi Sasisurjaya, Pranava Sarvavedeshu, Sabda He Paurasam Nisu. Just try to understand Krishna by your daily experience. Krishna says that when you drink water and when you quench your thirst, when you feel the nice taste of Krishna, water, That says, I am. Krishna says. So, you can understand Krishna daily as soon as you drink water.
Hare Krishna. We are reading from Bombay is My Office by His Holiness Lokanath Swami Maharaj. Maidan means playground in Marathi. The name cross is derived from a stone cross built by the Portuguese rulers in the 16th century. Cross Maidan is the largest venue in the heart of Bombay, measuring 25,000 square yards. On this vast site, Shyam Sundar ingeniously arranged for a big blue and white balloon with a red Krishna emblazoned on a white area of the balloon, anchored by a long rope that also carried the letters Hare Krishna, starting from the top of the rope and going down. The dominant balloon, floating 200 feet above the Cross Maidan, marked the site for the huge crowds of delighted guests. At night, flashing lights on the balloon were visible. Alongside the Pandal, two banners, one in English and one in Hindi, declared the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, Founder Acharya Paramahamsa A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. A white banner with blue letters beckoned everyone, welcome. In the open space before the entrance stood a white 6-pillar gazebo surrounded by plants, with the beautiful fountain in the middle of it. 2 tall columns and an arch framed the wide entrance, which was kept open all day and all evening. On the right side of the entrance was posted the program of events in English, painted on a vertical board. Atop the pandal were 3 traditional canvas domes, standing out against the sky and transforming the tent into a temple. Before entering the pandal, people would mill around the entrance and admire the transformation of Cross Maidan. The interior of the tent was well lit by spotlights and decorative lights, and thousands of curious people assembled to observe the spectacle. Their attention focused on a grand stage with a backdrop of dark arches lined with lights. At center stage stood a domed altar covered with numerous blinking fairy lights. It held the most exquisite deities, Sri Sri Radha Krishna. They shone forth in white and orange marigold garlands. The deities came from Jaipur, sponsored by the leading industrialist Ghanshyam Birla. The cheerfulness of Madhu Dvisa addressing the crowd had us in the audience responding with smiles and laughter. There was a questions and answers booth and displays of Krishna-conscious activities from around the world to make people aware that this was an international movement. Years later, Madhu Dvisa recalled, Prabhupada had transformed the Cross Maidan Pandal into a temple. The deities were on stage. 7 offerings a day were going on. The deities were being bathed and their outfits and garlands were being changed. The flowers in the vases were replenished. People were coming to visit the pandal early in the morning. The deities were there, so the devotees did not just pack up and go home at night. We all slept right there on the stage and somehow bathed behind the stage area. There was a kitchen behind the deities, and we did all the cooking ourselves. I remember Malati, Tungabhadra, and many other ladies cooking prasadam. They seriously engaged in all these activities and did mass prasad distribution. Madhu Dvisa also recalled the activities on stage. Before commencing and before leaving, Srila Prabhupada always offered obeisances to the deities. Srila Prabhupada sat on the Vyasasana, with us in front and him. Madhu Dvisa also recalled the activities on stage. Before commencing and before leaving, Srila Prabhupada always offered obeisances to the deities. Srila Prabhupada sat on the Vyasasana with us in front of him on either side. Next to Prabhupada, to his right, was the beautiful altar where Nanda Kumar offered artis. I would lead the Gora Arti Kirtan every night. During the Kirtans, devotees would dance with raised arms. Srila Prabhupada wrote a letter about the festival to Ghanshyam Birla's brother, Rameshwar Dayaliji Birla, on March 31st, 1971. With reference to my interview with you yesterday evening, I beg to inform you that my attempt to exhibit the Krishna consciousness movement to the Bombay public is still going on at the Cross Maidan and has become very successful. Similar attempts will be made in Calcutta and Delhi in order to establish at least 4 centers in India: Bombay, Delhi, Calcutta, and Navadvip. I am therefore opening a scheme herewith to raise funds for the obvious purpose. I have already discussed with you this matter, and I hope you will kindly, generously contribute to this fund so that your example may be followed by other rich men in India. Your check may be collected from your secretary, Mr. Dhruva, upon hearing from you.
Hare Krishna. We were with Srila Prabhupada in Gorakhpur, and under his direction a small Sankirtan party led by Hangsaduta went by train to Aligarh and Agra, where we received a telegram from Prabhupada calling us to Bombay for a big Pandal program. In Bombay, everyone knew about the program, scheduled over 11 days, March 25th to April 4th, entitled Bhagavad Dharma Discourses, a Hare Krishna festival, featuring, quote, World Preacher of Bhakti Cult, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, to be held at Cross Maidan, downtown. As a climax to the publicity, Shamsundar had fixed a giant balloon on the site, announcing from high over the city, quote, Hare Krishna Festival, Cross Maidan. 20,000 people attended daily, 30,000 on weekends. Prabhupada spoke strongly, and people responded favorably. One evening he performed initiations and the wedding of Vegavan Das from Sweden and Padmavati Dasi from Australia with a full Vedic ceremony. Quote, This is the real United Nations, end quote, he declared. And the entire audience, 20,000 people, clapped and cheered. Madhuvisa Prabhu was in charge of the stage program. Tamal Krishna Goswami was the general manager, and he made me the Pandal temple commander, putting all the responsibility and work on my shoulders. So I was at the Pandal all afternoon while the other devotees were back at our rented apartment, a temple and ashram in the Akash Ganga high-rise with Srila Prabhupada. In addition to my other general duties, I was responsible for the book table. Actually, several long wooden tables placed together in a line. I knew from distributing magazines in Boston that the crucial point was to put the literature in the hands of the potential customers. They would hold it and page through it, glancing at the pictures and text, and become attached to it. And then I would ask for a donation. I tried the same approach at the Pandal, but I was dismayed to find that people would simply walk away with the magazine without paying anything. I explained the situation to our advisor, Sadaji Whitlow, and he told me, "Oh, you can't do that here." "Then what do I do?" I asked. "You have to poke a hole through the corner of the magazine and thread a string through it and tie the string to the legs of the tables," he said. "Then people can hold the magazine but won't be able to walk off with it." It seemed like a good solution, so I decided to try it. There was a young American man with matted hair, wearing faded white cloth, whom I had noticed around the Pandal. And when I asked him if he would like to do some service, he agreed and took up the job of poking holes in the magazines and attaching them to the tables. At the start of the evening program, I suggested to him, "Why don't you sit in the audience and hear the lecture?" And when Prabhupada spotted the boy at the back of the crowd, he had Giriraja bring him onto the stage. Every now and then Prabhupada would look at me, the young man remembered, and something that had never happened took place in my heart. I was thinking, this is my eternal spiritual master and father. But my mind rejected it. You should not accept just one man, you should learn from everyone. And my heart was saying, no, this is your guru. Can't you see? You should surrender. And while I was going through this intense inner conflict during his lecture, Prabhupada looked right at me. He stopped speaking for a few seconds and looked into my eyes, so serious, and I could actually hear his eyes speaking. Give up your nonsense and surrender. After the lecture, as Prabhupada was leaving the stage, he affectionately rubbed my head and smiled and said, "You come up and sit with us every night, and every morning too." So I did that. And almost exactly 2 years later, the young man accepted Prabhupada as his spiritual master and was initiated by him as Raghunath Das, later to become Raghunath Swami. On the last day of the program, Prabhupada spoke about the devotees and the movement and invited the audience to join. Quote, "Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you very much for kindly participating in today's meeting. We are known practically all over the world as the Hare Krishna people. Wherever we go, they immediately recognize us as the Hare Krishna people. So I'll try to speak something about the Hare Krishna people. I started this movement in New York. I went there in 1965, and for 1 year I had no shelter, nor any means to maintain myself. I had some books only, Srimad Bhagavatam, and some way or other I pulled on. In 1966, I started this movement after incorporation in New York under the State Religious Act, and I began to chant the Hare Krishna mantra in a park in New York, Tompkins Square, and these young boys and girls began to assemble and chant and dance. This was the beginning. Prabhupada spoke at length about the science of Krishna consciousness. Then he concluded, "Now, what is this Krishna consciousness movement? This Krishna consciousness movement means the essence of all religious principles. What is religious principle? Religious principle means to abide by the laws given by God. That is called religious principle. Dharman tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. Dharma means the codes and the laws given by God. This is a long subject matter. It is not possible to explain everything that is the Krishna consciousness movement. But the actual fact is, this Krishna consciousness movement means to bring one to his original consciousness. That is the sum and substance. That original consciousness can be achieved by a simple method. What is that? Chanting this Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. It is a fact. This Krishna consciousness movement is neither a new movement nor is it a concocted philosophy. It is based on authorities such as Bhagavad Gita and other Vedic literature. And practically you see how it is effective. Simply by chanting this Hare Krishna mantra, these boys and girls have become elevated, and they've taken the matter very seriously. They are preaching this cult all over the world. Our request to everyone is, whatever you are doing, it doesn't matter. Please take to this chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. That is our only request. You will not lose anything, but you will gain very much simply by chanting. It will cleanse your heart. I do not wish to take much of your time. This Hare Krishna movement is very nice, authorized, spiritual, simple, and sublime, all at a time. If you kindly take this, you will be benefited and your life will be successful. Thank you very much. And on the last day of the Pandal, Srila Prabhupada went in a procession to Chowpatty Beach, and for the first time, Sri Sri Radharasa Bihari were revealed to the public. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to the Jubilee celebrations of the Pandal at Cross Maidan. Hare Krishna.
Following is an extract from I'll Build You a Temple by Giriraja Swami. Shortly after the Pandal program on the land and Prabhupada's departure to Australia, a young man came looking for me in the hut. He presented a typed letter addressed to the president of ISKCON, Bombay. I have attended almost all the days of your dazzling display of Arctic ceremonies, pravachans, kirtans, and transcendental dramas. It is all attractive and all effective, which has power to cleanse the hearts of the patitam, fallen, and remove all the dust accumulated for years together. Your wonderful movement, Hare Krishna movement, is meant for purification of hearts and leading the inhabitants of this planet towards the fulfillment of the goal of human life, namely back to the natural home, back to Godhead, back to Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I wish to be a pure devotee of Krishna and develop my dormant love for him. I want to be Krishna's servant because a valid life is a life of loving service to Krishna and engage 24 hours a day in his devotional service. But in this troubled age of Kali, it is impossible to be a pure devotee by living in association with worldly, godless people, non-devotees, people who are interested in extracting happiness from matter, which is nothing but impossible. It is simply due to ignorance they are missing the center of seeking pleasure, Krishna. In Bombay, Hare Krishna land is the only place where the predominance of the mode of goodness is very easily felt. Of course, it is natural because in the Hare Krishna land, Krishna, the reservoir of pleasure, personally resides with his most dear servants, the devotees who are non-different from himself. And the land is just an external manifestation of Vaikuntha Dham, the kingdom of God. I wish to join you and make my life sublime. I know your four things which you abstain from, namely, no eating meat, fish or eggs, no illicit sex life, no intoxication including coffee, tea, pan, etc., and no gambling. Nowadays, I am chanting the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So I want to know the pre-qualification and the procedure, how to make a new devotee, and how he can get admission in your ashram. I expect admission at the earliest moment because, as you know, the moment which is not used in Krishna consciousness is a mere wastage of so valuable lifetime. Excuse me if, while reading such material words, it has created disturbance in your chanting. Thanking you, Hare Krishna. Yours obediently, Patil R.B. I was delighted by what I read, perceiving how genuine, how humble and gentle and submissive the man was. I waved the letter above my head, announced, "Hey, we've got a new Bhakta," and embraced him. The RB stood for Raghunath Bhagwan. He had attended our Pandal program at Cross Maidan and our most recent one at Hare Krishna land. In fact, he had taken many of the phrases in his letter from our publicity for the programs. Bhakta Raghunath took naturally to the lifestyle of the devotees, as he later recalled. I had a new home, a new uniform, new associates, a new program. Almost everything was new to me. Nonetheless, I immediately embraced all of it and liked it. Although the devotees were mostly foreigners, I felt completely at home. I was determined to make this my life's commitment.
Chintamani prakara sadmasu kalpamikhanapyabritesu sirabhirabhipalayantam Chintamani prakara sadmasu kalpamikhanapyabritesu Sirabhirabhipalayantam Lakshmi Sahasrasatam Samrama Sevamanam Govindam Adipursam Tamaham Bhajami Chintamani prakara sadmasu kalpavikanakabritesu sirabhirabhipalayantam Lakshmi sahasrasatatham mama sevamanam Govindam Adipursam Tamaham Bhajami Venam Kannantam Aravinda Dalayataksam Venam Kannantam Aravinda Dalayataksam Varahavatam Samasitam Buddhasunnaramdam Venam Kannantam Aravinda Dalayataksam Varahavatam Samasitam Buddhasunnaramdam Kannatpakoti
कमनीय विशेषोशोभम् गोविन्दम् आदिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि गोविन्दम् आदिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि आलोलचन्द्रकलश वनमालवंशी आलोलचन्द्रकलश वनमालवंशी रत्नांगदं प्रणयकेलिकलाविलासम् आलोलचन्द्रकलश वनमालवंशी रत्नांगदं प्रणयकेलिकलाविलासम् श्यामं त्रिमङ्गलहितम् प्रकाशं गोविन्दम् आदिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि गोविन्दम् आदिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि चिन्तामणि प्रकर सदमसु कल्पवृक्षलक्षावृतेषु सुरवीरविपालन्तम् चिन्तामणि प्रकरण सदमसु